Hi, my name is Reina Smook, and I would like to testify of something that happened last weekend. And it's really something actually great, and it's just the full glory of God, and I would like to share that because I believe if God has moved in such a way, in such a massive way, and He touched so many lives and so many hearts, that you can't actually keep it to yourself. So that's what I'm here for today. So last weekend we had a 20s camp at church, and basically it's just a bunch of us, 20-year-olds, 20s, 30s, coming together and just living God, breathing God, finding yourself again, doing some serving, some prayer. And on the Saturday we got to church and we were ready for 20s continued on the Saturday, and our youth pastor kind of surprised us with a little treasure hunt, as we would call it, to go and serve people outside of the church. And this was completely unplanned. We didn't know about this ahead of time. We all thought we were just going to just gather and bond as a group of 20 serving each other. So none of us were really prepared for what was about to happen on the day. And I want to start off by saying that I went in on the Saturday feeling quite low and down. I don't think, in my mind, I don't think I was at the place where I wanted to be for something like to go out and serve others necessarily. I was feeling quite down and quite, not as spiritually awake as I would have wanted to feel for this. But let me continue with the story. And so our youth pastor said, it's time for us to go out into the community and serve others instead of just serving each other in the church. And so we were kind of like all shocked and we weren't mentally ready for this, but let's do this, let's go. And like I said, I wasn't particularly feeling spiritual that day. And in my mind, I was thinking to myself, Lord, I don't even know if I am in the right headspace today to serve someone else. In my mind, I was thinking, how would it mentally be possible for me to go out and serve someone else if I myself am struggling with a few things? But needless to say, the youth pastor played about 3 songs. We worshiped together. You kind of just let go and let God. And during those 3 songs, I decided to myself, I can either sit back, reject whatever we were going to do for the day and be like, I don't feel like I'm ready for it, my heart's not in it, I'm not going to do it. Or, I could just man up, take the challenge, and go and serve someone else and not be selfish for the day. It sounds like a very easy decision. It actually wasn't, particularly on Saturday. So during this worship session, I just decided, let go, let the Holy Spirit into, my soul and spirit and body. And I started seeing like a vision, because we knew kind of what we were going to do beforehand. The task and the assignment was basically that we were going to go out, sit quietly, let the Lord speak to us in terms of who we need to go and give a message to, who we need to go pray to, whatever it was that needed to be done. Let the Lord speak to us beforehand, give us a few clues as to who to go and look for, and then actually go and find them to give them the word or the message. And during my, that session transition of, getting into it and feeling the Lord's presence, I kind of in the back of my head saw someone, with long, dark, maybe black hair, a pink shirt on in a particular mall, and that's kind of what went through the back of my head. And I didn't think too much of it. I just let it go. I tend to want to forget things like that, just in case it's like my thoughts and not the Lord's thoughts. And I went on with worship, and then I sat down to the one side and I kept reliving this pink shirt and dark hair kind of situation going on. And I thought to myself, that must be the Lord, because that was the first thing that came to me instinctively, just while I wasn't actually trying to think of anything. So I thought, let me write this down. And we have like this treasure hunt piece of paper we got. I just want to actually hold it close so you can see. I don't know if you can actually see. But basically what this piece of paper is the description of everything that the Lord would give you. something that they would be wearing, some action they would be doing, their name, physical appearance, something funny like did they have a lollipop or whatever it was, and you would jot this down on the piece of paper. I don't know if you can actually read what that has said. But basically, so the location, I just felt the Lord saying, a nearby mall, which was Westgate Mall in the West Rand. And I knew this was from the Lord because I actually hate going to that mall. So that one I knew was not from me. And I kind of had this vision of her sitting on a bench, with this pink shirt, the long dark hair. And then, as I'm writing all of this down, I'm kind of thinking, I kind of see, because this particular mall has a specific setup for, the hallway, and then there are benches in between the mall, and then there are, like, in specific area, there are dustbins next to the bench. And I kept picking up this dustbin, and I thought, okay, well, it must be a dustbin. So I wrote that down, and then I said long black hair, pink shirt. And then it said what they might need prayer for, and I didn't get anything else other than I just had the feeling that God said, I want to give this woman a sign. Oh, and female, obviously. So I wrote this down, I prayed over a little bit, and you kind of hope in the back of your head that something will happen to all of this. But at the same time, you're kind of in disbelief because you're kind of like, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. And I've had other situations and occurrences before where I've felt, the Lord telling me, go speak to that woman or give that woman a prophecy or whatever, and it's been rejected, where they didn't want the message or they didn't want to hear it, and things like that happened. Or we once went to go out and pray for the homeless, and I wanted to give my scarf to him because it was the middle of winter, and he just like blank refused it. So in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like, these could just be my thoughts. I'm hoping it's not. It doesn't feel like it, but it could just be mine. Anyway, sit and pray, and we'll get together afterwards to discuss kind of what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've felt the Lord has said to us, just so we can kind of form groups, go out, because, to get firstly confirmation to see whether we kind of had the same people in mind, and then also to see location-wise so we can practically go together and, not go in like 1,000 cars. And so I had a group of like 4 people come with me to the mall. They also all saw the same thing. So I'm going to skip their part and I'm just going to go to mine because this is also getting long already. So we kind of get to Westgate Mall, and I'm in pursuit of this woman with long black hair sitting on a bench in the middle of Westgate with a pink shirt on it. So I walk through the mall. First of all, now obviously you see 1,000 other people with pink shirts and long hair, but they're not sitting down on the bench. So I'm determined. I'm like, no, I specifically saw a bench and something with the dustbin. So the bench is crucial in my mind. And as I walk through the mall, I don't see anything. Millions of promotional girls in the middle of the floor, all wearing pink with dark long hair. So this confuses me even more, but I'm determined. No, it needs to be the bench with the dustbin. And I walk through the mall, and we walk, and I see nothing. And we get to one part of the mall, and I just feel like something is, ripping my chest. And I'm like, okay, it's here. It's definitely here somewhere. And I look and I go down because there are different corridors leading into the mall. And I can't see anything. I go down to the bottom floor of the mall. We walk down, I look everywhere. I literally go through all the benches, all the side parts. I don't see this woman with long dark hair, a pink t-shirt sitting on a bench. And I'm kind of disappointed at this point because I'm just thinking, this is just happening over and over again, where I either feel like I'm not getting the right message, or maybe it's me who thought all this stuff up. Maybe I don't know. It's just you kind of feel disappointed because you were so ready to go and do this, especially on a day where I wasn't necessarily feeling up for it. And so something in the back of my head says, just walk the same way you were walking and go to a specific shop. And we had these little prophecies we were going to give out on the day, and I thought, let me just go do one of those, then at least we didn't go to the mall in vain. And as we walked through the path, back to the mall, we kind of look to the one side and we see 2 people standing by a bench and a dustbin. And they were both ladies, both wearing pink, both, you know, one with long hair, one with short hair, but one with dark hair. And I'm standing there thinking to myself, you know, first of all, you freeze in your tracks and you're like, I think it's these people. Because this was, funny enough, the exact same location where previously, when I had gone through the mall for the first time, I'd felt like a gripping in my heart. So I thought, okay, maybe this is like the person. But somehow in my mind, I kind of pictured her to look a little bit different. So I'm kind of like second guessing myself and being like, well, I didn't find her the first time, you know, all these things that go through your head. And luckily I had an amazing team of support with me, because it is a scary thing to do. I mean, to just go up to a stranger and be like, hey, I have a message for you, and you know, I know who you are, sort of, because of this thing that we've set up. But anyway, needless to say, she encourages me and she's like, no, I think that's the lady, because she herself also saw someone in Westgate with like dark hair. And I'm like, okay, this must be her. So we kind of go and, you know, we go down to the corridor and she's speaking with a friend of hers and we kind of wait. And so we kind of, you know, see where this is going to. Now we kind of just, you know, wait it out. And I look at the whole scene, and first of all, it's the first place where I got that feeling. She's literally standing next to one of these benches, next to the dustbin. She's actually between the two. She's wearing bright super pink, and she has dark hair and obviously female. And it's in the right mall. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, even though it doesn't look exactly the way that I thought it would in my head, and I'm giving you all of these details because I know it's like dragging the story out, but I want you to know, just in case something like this happens to you as well, that it's not always your first initial thought. It may be that it ticks a few of the other boxes like it does now in this case, but she doesn't necessarily have the exact same look and appearance that you thought it would be. Any case, we finally get to speaking to her and she's exiting the mall, and I asked my friend, please just help me out, you know, I've been through these things before and these people didn't want my message. Just kind of say hello and I'll do the introduction after that. And she was so great with it, and she stopped her and she was so friendly, and we kind of just like introduced ourselves and we were like, you know, we're from Handelinge, this is the things we do, we're here for a prophetic message. And luckily this woman, you know, she understood. She was like, no, this isn't something weird for her. She is in a church where they do prophetic messages, so, you know, don't stress about it. And immediately I was just like calm about it, and I thought, thank heavens, it's not another rejected message. And I showed her this piece of paper and I'm like, well, this is what we have, literally, you know, a woman standing in Westgate, you know, with the bench and the dustbin and everything. I took a picture of this lady, just, I'm going to show it to you so you can see. I just wanted some evidence of, you know, the whole scene. And I'm like, well, I don't have a message for you. I just feel like you're waiting for a sign from God, and that, you know, something may be happening, and that I just pray, you know, that, you know, you find peace in whatever decision you need to make, you know, and that, you know, the Lord is holding you in his hands and he's just giving you a big hug, you know, and he just loves you very much. And I could see her like kind of tearing up in her eyes, and that was like a special moment for me, because then I knew, you know, it's not me, this is the Lord's work, you know, that's coming to play. And that was really amazing. And then she nods her head and she said yes, she's actually waiting, you know, for a sign. She asked God for something, because there's a big change happening at work. And that was just, I mean, firstly that just blew all of our minds, that this is even possible. I mean, here I am sitting in church, like thinking up something that, you know, you don't know where it comes from, what it has to do with anything, you know, a pink shirt, I mean, it's so random, in a mall with, like, between a bench and whatever. And anyway, we asked her if we can just pray for her, and just like kind of calm her and be like, no, the Lord is here for you, you know, whatever answer you were looking for, this is the sign, you know, take the sign. And she was so grateful for it, and she was so amazing about it, and she was like, you know, just bless you kids for doing this kind of work. And it actually, you know, it was such a two-way street, because it was so amazing to be able to do this, first of all, to go out in faith, you know, have God just work through you, literally you just being the instrument, and him getting to his people. But the whole way this entire thing has been orchestrated was just mind-blowing to all of us, just being, you know, the fact that you can go out in faith and do the Lord's work like this, and you literally are just his instrument, and the way he's coordinated everything, you know, to get the time right, to get us, you know, together, to get the two of us together so that I wasn't afraid and, you know, just walk away. And everything he's pinpointed on the day to just, make everything work towards His will and His greatness and His goodness. And that is just, I mean, it's indescribable, the feeling it gives you. I was shaking on the day, and I'm actually kind of like shaking now just thinking of it, just thinking back. And I mean, the funny thing was, we stood there and we talked to her for a little bit, and she said, you know, the weirdest thing is she wouldn't have gone to that mall necessarily that morning. And it's not a place she usually goes to, but for some reason that morning she went to that mall. And the pink shirt, she said she was looking at it and she wasn't particularly feeling for it. She actually wanted to wear something else, but then, you know, the same thing. She thought, let me just wear this shirt, you know, for no apparent reason. I mean, so the Lord already worked with her that morning. We didn't even know about, you know, this prophetic message that we were going to do. And He already got her like into place, you know, gave me a bright color so that I can see her and not get confused as to who to speak to. And just put everything together like that. And just the way we went through the entire mall, and I was like, I don't know if this is happening anymore. And then He still said, go back. And we went back, and there they were, lo and behold. And just like that picture, I'll just bring it up again. I mean, you actually cannot describe it. And the fact that even the message was right, you know, when I said, you know, I just feel like the Lord is giving you a sign. I mean, it's so random, and yet it was so clear. And she even said that morning that she was listening on the radio and something like sparked, you know, the same kind of thing, like, just relax, you know, the Lord has this, He's got you. And then here we come as complete strangers, you know, with the message for her. And it's so amazing. And it just got me thinking, you know, how many times do we have messages for other people that we kind of don't give to them? I mean, let's say I didn't want to do it that morning. Let's say I was going to chicken out and be like, I'm not in the right headspace. That, you know, the woman was asking for obviously a very big sign. And, you know, if I had been selfish and I was like, no, Lord, I don't want to do your work today, she would not have gotten that message and she would have missed the blessing, and then she would have been like, Lord, why? Meanwhile, it was my responsibility to be there that day because the Lord has, you know, picked me out on that day to be there. I'm not saying I'm special or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, the Lord connects us in many different ways. And I'm just thinking to myself, what if we had so many different messages? Because how many times do you walk into a place and you kind of like feel, for some reason, like someone just grabs your attention? And what if that is just the Lord speaking to you and saying, you know, go speak to them, even if you don't have like a whole list and you didn't do like a whole morning of prep. You know, go speak to them. And I think to myself how many times I've asked the Lord for a sign and I feel like I haven't received it, you know. Maybe there was someone else like me who just said, not today, Lord, I'm not in the right headspace. So, I mean, that is a little bit hard hitting, but the whole point of this was to just be like, I just wanted to testify and be like, the Lord is real, God exists, He's out there. I mean, if He can bring someone together with a piece of paper called a treasure hunt on a day that I wasn't particularly feeling spiritual or on my game or, you know, necessarily like happy and clappy, I mean, it's the higher power. It's undeniable. You cannot deny what happened that morning, and it honestly is one of the most amazing experiences and the biggest things that's ever happened to me. And I kind of feel like this is what life is all about. We are all connected here so that we can do these things, you know, for the Lord and be His instruments like that. And that's basically all I wanted to do. I just wanted to testify and be like, this happened, it's real, it's not a setup, this wasn't, you know, thought out as a game or to be funny or anything. This literally happened. I have so many people who can testify that this is real. And yeah, God is real, God is big, He's alive, He loves you. And if you are waiting for a message to know that He's out there, then He's out there. Love you very much.